Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S6 6006, The Minstrel in the Tower. Chapter 1, The Cottage. Alice heard the sweet singing of a nightingale. It sounded so perfect that a real nightingale might have been fooled, but not Alice. Her brother, Roger, had whistled the bird's song. It was their secret signal. "I'm up here," she called. "I'm in that tree again," he cried, seeing Alice in the top branches of a huge sycamore. "You know you're not supposed to climb that high." "Get down, you monkey. It's nice up here," Alice answered. "I can see so far. When Father returns from the crusade, I'll be the first to see him coming." Roger leaned against the trunk of the big old tree. "If he's ever going to come home at all," he said, "this would be a good time for it. With Mother so sick, it was the year 1195, and the crusade had ended 3 years earlier. Mother, Roger, and Alice waited alone in their cottage with only their elderly neighbor, Jara, to visit them. Since their mother had become ill, old Jara helped care for her. "You better come down right now," Roger called, "before Jara starts looking for us. It scares her when she sees you up so high." Under his breath, he added, "It scares me too." Roger was 11, Alice was only 8. He tried to watch out for her the best he could, but Alice was hard to keep up with. She never walked when she could run, and she never stayed on the ground when she could climb. "Children, what did I tell you?" Roger said as they heard old Jara shouting for them. "Children, where are you? Roger, is Alice with you? Alice, answer me. Don't let her know I'm up here," Alice begged. Roger was not only good at bird calls, he could imitate people's voices perfectly. In a voice that sounded exactly like Alice's, he called, "I'm here with Roger, Zara, at the big tree." "Both of you come inside at once," old Zara cried sharply. "Something must be wrong," Roger said. "Hurry, Alice." She scrambled down the tree so fast that he couldn't stand to watch. He turned away until he felt next to him on the ground. Together they raced to the tiny cottage. When they reached the door, they stopped in dismay. Their mother had risen from her sickbed to sit in the center of the room. Her long yellow hair had spread from her head to her waist like rays of sunlight. In her lap rested a lute. As she bent forward to pluck its strings, she sang, "My brother is a noble knight. An eagle guards his shield of white. My brother won't forgive a wrong. His sword is still, his arm is strong." Old Zara stood wringing her hands. "I tried to make her stay in bed, but she won't listen. She's burning with fever." "Mother," Roger cried, running to her, "go back and lie down." Spots red as strawberries stained their mother's cheeks. But her forehead and lips looked pale as winter. "Dear Roger," she said, "let me sit while I can. Soon enough I'll lie forever in my grave." Fear sent prickles over Roger's skin. Alice looked frightened too. "Is Mother going to die?" she asked Zara. There, child," soothed the old woman. "When people get feverish, they say foolish things. You mustn't worry." As their mother stared at Roger and Alice, she seemed to come to her senses. "I've been dreaming," she said, "about my brother, our Raymond in Bordeaux. It was such a real dream. I felt I could reach out and touch him." "What brother?" Roger asked. "You don't have a brother?" "The truth is that I do have one, and you must find him, Roger. Tell Raymond, that I beg his forgiveness and that I leave you children in his care. Who else will look after you when I'm gone? Your father must be dead, or he would have come back to us long ago." Dead? Roger's fear turned to cold pain. He had suspected father might have died in battle, because both men had long since returned from the crusade. To hear his mother say it, though, cut through to his heart. Maybe he didn't have to believe her. Maybe old Jara was right. The feverish people said the foolish things. Their mother had begun to pluck the lute again. With a sudden motion, she held out the instrument to Alice. Take this to your Uncle Raymond, she told the girl. Show him the eagle carved on the back. Ask him to come quickly, quickly. Her eyes grew wild, and then she fell into a faint. Catch her, Zara cried. I don't want her to die, sobbed Alice as they carried the mother to the bed. Alice had no memory of her father, but her mother had always been there to hold her, to love and comfort her. All morning she's been talking about this brother Raymond, Jara told him. It's preying on her mind. I think she won't get well until you bring him to her. I don't even know where Bordeaux is, Raja protested. 3 days west of here, Zara answered. She wrung her hands, so far away. Alice was kneeling beside the bed. 3 whole days? She exclaimed through her tears. What will we eat? You won't be going with me, Raja said. Yes, I will. She jumped to her feet. Mother told me to. I'm supposed to take the lute to her uncle. Raja could have argued that the mother's mind wasn't clear when she spoke these words, yet in spite of himself, he wanted Alice with him on the journey. All their lives, they had depended on each other for company. All right, he answered, but if you come, you have to obey me. As for food, he pointed to the lute. That'll buy our suppers. No, I won't let you sell it. Alice wrapped her arms around the pear-shaped lute. Mother said, I know what Mother said. I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to play it. Mother taught me all her songs. I'll sing for our suppers like a strolling minstrel. I wish I could go in your stead, lamented Zara, but I'm far too old to make such a journey. Her face puckered as she lifted the edge of a brown wimple to dab her eyes. Don't worry about your mother. I'll tend her carefully while you're gone. It's you children I worry about. May heaven protect the two of you. Chapter 2, The Journey. The sun hung halfway between straight up noon and sunset. Since they started out from home, Alice had been skipping ahead and running back, but now her steps lagged to match Roger's. I'm hungry, she told him. Hunger didn't bother Roger so much, but other things did. With each step, the lute bumped him. Because they were heading west, the sun shone right into his eyes. Long before, the road had turned away from the river Dorgon, and since then they hadn't found even a tiny brook they could drink from. You said you'd sing and play for our supper, Alice told him, but we haven't seen a single traveler, so how are we going to eat? Right at the moment, Roger noticed dust rising on the road ahead. Someone is coming, he answered, as though he had expected it all along. I hope they have food and water with them, and I hope they like rude music, said Alice. The sun stood bright behind the travelers, so that when they reached the top of a small hill, they cast long shadows. They wore dark, ankle-length hooded gowns and carried the round-headed staffs of pilgrims. Pilgrims walked the roads all over Europe to pray at a single saint's shrine, at a number of shrines and churches. Roger saw that the two coming toward them were women. One was old, the other barely past girlhood. Oh, peace to you, Roger greeted them, and both women echoed peace. Alice stayed silent, too awed by the beauty of the young girl to manage a greeting. I'm a strolling minstrel, Raja announced. If you will share your supper with us, I'll sing a song for you. Old woman frowned, staring down her nose at them. Raja knew that he and his sister looked like the Pterodamalians. Their shabby clothes were covered with the dust of the road. Raja's wrist stuck out from his sleeves, and Alice's dress was patched in 3 places. For more than a year, Mother hadn't made new clothes for either of them because she couldn't afford to buy cloth. Annoyed at the woman's hardy look, Alice exclaimed, My brother, Raja, is a wonderful singer. He knows all Mother's songs. He can imitate voices and bird calls too. Oh, Mama, let's share our food with these children, the lovely girl begged. They look hungry, and we have enough for all. Humph, I suppose so, Aurora. The mother answered with ill grace, pursing her lips. She opened the leather pouch to take out bread and cheese and salted meat. Since Alice didn't want to stare greedily She pretended to watch a nightingale in a tree nearby. Then she cried. Look, someone forgot to pick the apricots in those top branches. In a flash, she had tucked the hem of her skirt into her belt and was climbing the tree. Be careful, Aurora cried. You might fall. You don't have to worry about Alice, Raja told her. She's always climbing something or other at home, tree or walls or even the roofs when it needs new thatch. Our mother calls her La Guanich, the monkey in skirts. Roger would rather have starved than climb the apricot tree. Height frightened him, but Alice balanced easily in the top branches. She flung the ripe fruit to Raja until the tree was picked bare. Come down now, La Guanich, Aurora called, laughing. You have surely earned your share of supper, hasn't she, Mamma? Humph, the older woman snorted, already eating. Her manners were quite elegant. She lifted the dainty bits of meat to her lips on the point of a knife, and she spit each apricot pit into her hand before dropping it to the ground. We're on a pilgrimage to the shrine at the Rocamadour, Aurora told them. We have already traveled a week. As she spoke, the young girl lowered her hood. Alice gasped at the beauty of Aurora's hair. It was the color of the apricot, thick, wavy, and shining. It had been woven into one long braid that hung over her shoulder. The older woman noticed Alice's admiration and said, Aurora will sacrifice her hair at Rocamadour. She's offering it so that her father may be cured of an illness. You mean cut off her hair? Raja asked, appalled. How else can she offer it except to cut it off? Sniffed the woman, dabbing her lips. Raja felt deeply sorry for poor Aurora, who looked sad at the mention of a coming sacrifice. Alice, though, touched her own dark, tangled curls and thought how nice it would be to have short hair that never needed combing to get the snarls out. The woman stuffed each leftover crust back into the pouch. We shall save these crumbs for any other beggars we meet on the way, she announced. Now you may sing for us, minstrel. Raja had no wish to perform such a wretched woman, but he had promised to sing for his supper. Turning toward Aurora, he plucked the strings of his lute and began. A singer and a strummer, sweet are the tunes I play, for you to greet the summer and dance the night away. Let old folk drowse and slumber, use love's holiday. Then on the spot he made up a brand new verse. The time will go by quickly, I promise you, Aurora. Your curls will grow back thickly. Ever summer comes twice more. Aurora's sad look disappeared. You're right, of course, minstrel, she said with a smile. Your shorn hair does grow back. We must leave now, the mother fussed. Come along, Aurora, until they were out of sight. Aurora kept turning around to wave and shout. Farewell, minstrel. Thank you for the song. Farewell, La Guenech. Chapter 3, The Fork in the Road. Which way do we go? Alice asked. Roger hadn't been paying attention, but Alice, as usual, had run ahead. She stood where the road forked, one part going left, the other right. I don't know, Raja said. There was nothing to show which direction led to the border. We can't go both ways, Alice declared. She picked a daisy from the side of the road and began to pluck its petals one by one. Left path, right path, she said as she pulled each petal. Left, right, left. The last petal was all right. We're not going to make up our mind because of a daisy. That's silly, Raja said. We'll go left. It's just as silly to choose left because the daisy said right, Alice argued. Raja was tired and worried, and there was no way to tell which road really led to borders. One direction was as good as the other. You promised to obey me, and I picked left, he insisted. Oh, all right. An hour later, the road had narrowed to the width of a lane. Trees grew so thickly on both sides that the branches met overhead. Around the bend, a fallen log blocked the path entirely. You should have listened to the daisy, Alice told him. We'll have to go back to the crossroads, Raja confessed. He wished there was someone to blame besides himself. It's almost dark now, so we can't go back till morning. Where will we sleep? Alice asked. This road, or what's left of it, must lead somewhere. We'll climb over the log and keep going till it's too dark to see. As the trees grew more dense, as the night deepened, the forest seemed to speak. Crickets chirped, leaves rustled, small animals chittered, and an owl asked who dared intrude into his domain. Ahead of him, Roger could hear his sister breaking through brush. Then all was silent. Alice, he called sharply. Where are you? Just ahead. Keep coming. I found something. What is it? Answer me. Darkness dropped over the forest like a lid on a chest. You see when you get here, she called. Roger blundered through the trees in the direction of her voice. Suddenly something small and warm grabbed his arm. He nearly yelled, but it was only his sister's hand. Over there, see the round thing that looks darker than the shadow? She asked. It's a tower. We can sleep inside it tonight. Don't we want? Snakes and spiders nest in dark places. And I need to take care of you. We'll sleep in the open. That's even better. Alice said, the night's warm enough, and I don't have to worry about getting my dress dirty. On the ground, it's already dirty. At least it still fits you. You never seem to get bigger the way I do. Wouldn't it be nice if our Uncle Raymond turned out to be rich and would buy us new clothes? Alice asked, gathering leaves for the bed. He could turn out to be poor, or he could turn out not to be real. Maybe he's just a dream from Mother's fever. Alice didn't answer. And Roger realized she was crying. I shouldn't have mentioned Mother, he thought, feeling sorry and clumsy. Don't cry, he told her. I didn't mean what I said. I'm sure there is an Uncle Raymond. We'll find him. Go to sleep now. Roger sat against a tree and held the lute across his knees. He strummed it softly, hoping the music would soothe Alice so that she could sleep without sad dreams. The tune he strummed was a Crusader song that reminded him of his father. Trumpets had blared, the visors had flashed, and sword hilts had gleamed under the bright sky the day his father went away. The banners and shields bore coats of arms showing lions, griffins, falcons, and stars. Each man's right sleeve wore the cross of a crusader. Father had told Roger that the crusade would be led by two kings, Philip of France and Richard the Lionhearted, who ruled the land of Aquitaine where they lived. And dozens of noblemen rode past, mounted proudly on their war horses. Roger had cheered and clutched his father's hand. Archers followed, some carrying crossbows, others bearing long bows. Then came hundreds of foot soldiers, with banners fluttering from their upraised lances. Father waited for the whole column to march by before he mounted his impatient steed and rode away. Watching him, Roger waited until every last crusader disappeared over the edge of the hill. That was the last time he ever saw his father. He was 6 then. Now the tall round tower loomed in front of him, the blacker than the night. It was an eerie shadow that pushed Roger's doubts toward dread. Was his father alive or dead? Was Uncle Raymond real? With one arm across the curved body of the lute, he settled on the ground to wait for the night to pass. Chapter 4. The Tower. Sun on his face woke him. He had slept longer than he had meant to. While he rubbed his eyes, he looked around for his sister, but she was gone. Alice, he shouted. I'm in here, she answered. Inside the tower. Come see it. Roger stood up to look at the tower. From the outside, in daylight, it seemed ancient. Its rough, weathered stones were furry with moss, and the peak of its cone-shaped roof had fallen in. What could it have been used for? He wondered. A prison? A place to worship? Moldy old gods? A defense against barbarians? Come on, Alice called. He picked his way over the remains of a wooden gate. Once it must have guarded the doorway to the tower, but it now lay rotting. Inside, he looked for his sister. I like it here. Alice's voice drifted down from above. What are you doing up there? A spiral stairway stood open and unprotected against the wall. If ever it had been enclosed in a shaft, the wood was long gone. But the stone staircase remained. The top step ended 40 feet above the ground. Centuries before, the staircase had led to a floor that held archers who had shot arrows through narrow slits in the walls. Now only two thin boards remained between the top step and the wall, and Alice stood upon them. Come down this minute, Roger yelled, his heart hammering. I won't fall, she told him. I'm holding on to the window ledge. I can see really far from here, farther than from our sycamore tree at home. Get down, he called, trying to make the fear in his voice. Those birds might cave in under you. Oh, all right, with nothing to steady her because there was no railing, Alice skimmed down the stairs. Around and round, down and down. Roger squeezed his eyes shut. When she reached him, she said, You didn't give me a chance to tell you. From up there, I could see someone coming through the forest. Who? Two people. I think. Maybe they will let you sing for breakfast. I'll run and ask them. Caution made Roger threw out his arm before Alice could reach the open doorway. Wait. Let's see what they look like first. Stay here and keep quiet. They heard branches crack, then men laughing and joking. They sound jolly, Alice whispered. She and Roger peered through the opening. Where the tower gate had once stood, two men walked into what had been the courtyard. Each carried a dead quail by the neck. We could get strung up for stealing game, Simon, said one, a limping, filthy man. We've done lots worse things they could hang us for, Otto, answered the other, with a thin, bony fellow whose bottom teeth were missing. Stealing game is the least of it, he lisped. Right you are, Simon, huh? Anyway, nobody bothers with this part of the forest. So they have forgotten these old ruins. What a life we could live up here, although undisturbed, like there is plenty of game in the woods. Give us a couple of servants to wait on us, hand and foot, and we would live like kings. What is this? Exclaimed Oda as he caught sight of the loot. Don't know, but we can break it up for firewood. Simon raised the loot by its neck to smash it against the rock. No! Don't break it, it's mine! Roger yelled. He dashed from the tower and grabbed the loot from Simon, who toppled to the ground in surprise before Roger could run away. Odo's arm flashed around his neck and Odo's dagger pricked his throat. Leave my brother alone, Alice screamed, hurling herself at them. Be my whiskers, another one. By my whiskers, another one. Simon exclaimed. He caught her in his long, skinny arms and held her straight out in front of him. Her feet flailed the air helplessly. This is the first time my prayers have been answered. So sweet, said Simon. The words whistled through his missing teeth. Give us a couple of servants, I said, and here they be. A fine pair of ragamuffins, all shabby and dirty, that they can't belong to anyone. We belong to ourselves, Roger shouted. Let us go. We'll see, we'll set you both down, but don't try and run. Odo said, You are ours now. I always wanted a pair of servants. Be by my toenails, won't it be fun to give other orders for a change? Instead of always taking them, cried Simon. Boy, hunt up some firewood. Girl, pluck the feathers off those quail. Then cook them, Simon winked. That's the way to treat servant, eh, Odo? Right you are, Simon, huh? Surely the man wouldn't keep them as they were threatening to, as long as Odo waved that dagger, though. Roger didn't intend to argue while Alice plucked the birds. He gathered the firewood, watching for a chance to speak to his sister. Bring your flint and help me start the fire. The two men busied themselves striking the blade of the dagger with the flint. And Roger moved closer to Alice. Let's run, she whispered. They would catch us. The loot will slow me. He didn't want to leave it, not yet. Not until he decided how much actual danger they were in. Wait a while. We'll see what happens. After the fire was lit, Oda said, Servant girl, turn those birds under speed. Nice and slow so they won't burn. He scratched his raggedy clothes as though he had to flee, and turned to Roger, servant boy, while the birds cook. You strum us a song with that tune twinkle of yours. The gallant song for the likes of us. Eh, Simon, right you are, although one of our fine, noble fellows, such as you and me. Laughed Odo. Roger tried to remember a song about gallantry. Most of the verses his mother had were love song. Then he thought of the one she had sing on the day they left home. My brother is a noble knight, an eagle guards his shield of white. My brother unforgivable. His sword is still, his arm is strong. Simon's jaw with its missing teeth dropped open. Hey, where did you learn that? He demanded. From my mother? Your mother? Who is your mother? She is my mother, my father's wife. My father is a crusader. Crusader have been over for a long time, Odo said. Simon stared hard at Roger. Then in a strange, slow, crab-like motion, he circled the fire, never taking his eyes from Roger's face. Closer and closer he came, staring all the while. Roger scrambled backward. Suddenly the man pounced. Got you, he cried. Grabbed the girl, although when Alice tried to run, Oda cut her ankles and tripped her. Oh ho, although my friend, crows Simon, we're going to live like kings after all. I have just figured out who these two are. The end. Part A.